which is there on the particular slide, which is the opening slide, which says the role of creativity and innovation. But at least I can assure you that I will definitely create more problem and more particular insights into it, because I have seen a lot of things what a client sees in a day-to-day situation. When I say in a day-to-day situation, every aspect in every particular medium, the basic requirement which a client thinks is okay to look for is creativity. Everything, whether it's a newspaper ad or it's even an ad for a recruitment or it's an ad only for a franchisee, it has to be creative. Whether the creativity is something which is found in any of the departmental stores which any agency can buy and supply for the entire month or every campaign, that's answer still to be looked for. But creativity has become a common currency across. Whether it is a product differentiation, whether it's a product launch, whether it is primarily in terms of any particular medium to be associated with, creativity is one particular factor. Either it is a part of the marketing communication brief or a media brief, but it has to be added to any of the forms. Whether it is the adaptation of the same creative in a vertical or horizontal format, that can also be called creativity. But if we actually do a small deep dive in terms of a research which recently happened by TNS, and they showed amount of with respect to social and digital media in totality, let's take a step back and think from a normal user and a consumer on those particular, whether it is a social media platform or a digital media. Do anybody wants to like to introduce ourselves into our particular social space? Do you really, I personally don't feel that if I am on my particular Facebook page, on LinkedIn page, I don't want any brand to come, whether it's a pop-up or whether it's any particular media, because I find it very, very annoying. I don't know whether it is for most of the people or it's only for me, but most of the people which I interacted and said, it's actually become too much of intruding which happens. And the best part or the worst part of the entire thing is, most of the conversations that has been driven either on any of the company's Facebook is not on the basis that company wants to do it. It's only because they want to keep that Facebook page live. That doesn't mean that you can conversate or communicate which is nothing to do with anything to do with those particular people who are hooked on to you. It may increase the fan pages at one point of time, but not in terms of exactly what we need to look for. In Economic Times, some 10 days back, there was a research which published by TNS which says 53% globally on any of the social media sites doesn't want any particular brand to intrude in their particular basis or their particular pages, whether it is Facebook or whether it is Twitter or whether it is anything else. In India, the interesting aspect is 49% of the people think that we don't require any particular brands to come into our particular page, because that's my space. That's what my space I need to look for. And I don't think so that's very relevant, and that's very annoying. That's where the role of creativity and how you can actually innovate in this particular medium, and you know that people don't want and they don't like when you're actually entering into the space. The things will never change whichever the medium may be and whichever the situation may to look for. And I've also tried little bit of my particular own creative hands by putting some different pictures across and flavor to the entire presentation. The relevance to the creativity is the key in any particular medium that we look for. Just you have to be creative, that doesn't mean that it has to be creative and you have to be creative by any point of it. It has to be relevance to the TG that we're talking, and it has to be relevance to the people those we're actually talking about. I'll tell you a small fantastic is, I went for a festival of media this year in Switzerland, and in that point of time, global CMO of Nestle presented a case on the best practices from India, which is the best neighbors on the Deepika's ad. If you analyze that entire particular coffee ad of Deepika and Karan Johar, the idea was primarily from a bigger picture from a TVC only. There was no idea that has been taken only from digital. The best creativity used in utilizing that particular idea into different forms of media. It doesn't come only that it's one particular way, it has been used only by one particular medium. You had made 1 million fan pages, which is the neighbors of Deepika, and I have tried and spoke to at least most of the people in this particular thing. Most of the people are not even aware about those particular campaigns. It's not that the campaign was not effective. It's not that the people doesn't want to go for that particular campaign. The aspect is that relevant for the TG that has been looked for? A generic communication, a generic creative will not be able to help across particular brands.